Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions, to this holy circle of light. So much love from doing these lessons together every day. I thank Jesus for bringing us together to look so deeply, and you start to see the only value is looking with him every day. We're worthy of that, just seeing the worthiness and the holiness of being so committed to who we really are rather than some idea of who we're not. And I was talking to them this morning about, I was asking him about, sometimes the journey, like there seems to be a lot of pain coming up, or physical pain, and I was talking to him about pain and suffering. He says, those are usually the last things that will be given over to me. They're so relished deeply in the mind. He says they're just so relished that you think you're just withholding giving those over, because there's so much relishing of pain and suffering. And I just say, help me, Jesus, if there's more. Especially the idea that, quote unquote, awakening is suffering, will be suffering. That's such a deep, and that there'll be a lot of pain in spiritual awakening. But remember, it's ceasing to deniement rather than enlightenment. It's just ceasing to deny. And maybe just having a talk with them, he says that would be helpful. The Jesus fireside chat, so much love comes, even just, you can see it, just one thought, because it's like those thoughts of God, just love just come through and express. And it's just that symbol of turning away from what we thought we were to turn toward what we truly are. That's all Jesus is, a symbol of that in the mind. Because the power of consciousness is to turn away from light. That's, it's like walking around with an umbrella over your head going, I can't see, it's kind of, where's the sun? I can't read because it's kind of dark under here. And you just set and Jesus would say, put the umbrella aside. And then all of a sudden it's dark again. I don't understand why it's so dark. My head's been in a bag. Brain fog, brain cloud, personal identity cloud, person poison. That's what Muji. What are we suffering from? Person poison. Who are we? Person poison. I don't know if everyone saw that little cartoon. You might have to find it again and put it back up. Who are we? What do we want to be? Persons. What do we want? Suffering. But at least that's honesty. And how tightly it's holding on to those concepts or suffering. And we're just the duke out, the Jesus duke out. Okay, Jesus. So we're here for the fireside chat, and it's so beautiful. Lori came yesterday, and as I said, it's just open door here. Come lie in the bed, and because it appears he's reminding me so much love, with so much love, that not to interpret, like whatever's appearing, it with the washout. That's what he's showing more than anything. You do not know what anything's for, literally. Figuratively, every way from Sunday, we don't know. And so when the interpretive function, which we love to do, gets involved in everything, including dissolution of the idea of a personal identity, as these energies are released, it can look all kinds of ways. That's why you have to ask them, or we come together. It was really beautiful. Like Kelly came in and said, okay, let's look together at what this is, because there's a lot rising up. But then we can kind of relax and know that it's love. And really, until she came in, yesterday, and we were, joined on what was appearing, to look at it. Not only does it help really, it's for everyone. It's for me when she comes in the room, to be the gift of God to see what's true together. And that was the first time he brought my mind back to the time that early on in the early stages of the course, um, how I ended up in the hospital. Now, this is not advertised, doesn't have to be this way. I wasn't speaking enough to him to understand that some of the quote unquote things that were appearing were actually releases. But now I know them, I can ask them and say, oh, that was okay. I understand now, Jesus. It was just energetic releasing of those tight energies. And it just don't interpret it. And as I've said many times in my gratitude to Lisa Fair, she'd say, just come lie down on, can I just lie down in here? She had a couch or a bed extra in her room. And I do, oh. I asked, was that's releasing? But it's just the comfort, being together is the machinations and however their unification of consciousness looks. Yeah, Jesus just reminded me, it is not our function to judge that. That's another form of judgment, and then we'll suffer. Jesus telling me, guys are so determined to suffer. It's just, Jesus ask him. It's such a good one to work with him early on with. I'm seeing that now, because but I probably wouldn't have in the beginning taken my own advice. Right. But it's been so helpful just to, ask him what's most helpful. See, then he can help us clear those things. The desire for that waking up is suffering. The desire for the experience is waking up, quote unquote, dropping the identity. That it's going to be sacrifice. Because, he's given it right here to us and saying, you believe that's going to be, okay, let me look at that right away. Immediately. How much sufferings are so wanted, It's showing me how, I wanted, still could feel that wanting to populate the world with characters, and just like, okay, geez, I'm looking at that really deeply. Any kind of miscreation of characters. I'm just wanting it, just wanting those characters, like wanting to populate, try to move them around. And then you get mad when they don't move where you want. And then really looking deeply. What else was he showing me? Yeah, really looking deeply at that, how rage is, the relishing of rage, but it's not what we think it is. It's just not. We think that rage is when you're like having a firestorm and you're jumping up and down and you're beating pillows. And to be shown, no, it's a twitch. The tiniest twitch is a rage against infinite love. And seeing how he needs to reveal all of that because even the concept of what rage is has to fall away, so you can really show how much it's relish, boy, want that, and take us down subconscious and just let that energy release of admitting it. Just let the full admitting, I want this, I want this, I want this. And I want to wake up experience. So it's best to look, I'm saying, is it best to look early to see if we want that cease to deniement experience? Because it's just cease to deniement. We can see infinite light. It's not having any kind of a journey in there. This is where it gets really funny. Doesn't feel so funny in the middle of it, but it's helpful to do the light test as the only thing that's true. And you can ask him, Jesus, this light, this infinite light of being, that's the gig. Yep. Case would be closed. But as the play of consciousness goes, we don't even see what through the play, it's made to hide what we're hiding, to hide from ourselves where we're deluded, where we're insane. We're hiding from ourselves insanity, and then we call things like Alzheimer's insanity. Jesus goes, nope, just letting go of the world, Like, I think I told the time I was flying on a plane somewhere, and this woman was sitting next to me, and she started talking about her mom and her about she had Alzheimer, and I could see there's a little bit, but then of kind of upset about it. And then she started saying, my mom, she just sits out on the balcony and sings with the birds, and she's so happy. And I said, is this a bad thing? She's going, no. And she just got all happy because she knew her mom was really happy just singing with the birds. Yes, Jesus, that's my only function, to sing with the birds, you know, sing like a bird just trills for no reason. And they just, sing the love song nonstop. Okay, Jesus. And boy, and as I've said, every day it's like, oh, I need your help even more. Because that's, he said, and he was reminding me, you don't ask for enough. And then it came up, I think, yesterday as well. So what else can I ask you for? And then Lori comes in. It was really beautiful. She's going, well, I don't even know what to ask. And we can ask him what to ask. We even need that. That is so at the level of innocence, to be so not even know what to, even just ask me what to ask. That's innocence. Jesus, what do I ask you to ask? That's letting the mind be so open to be shown, is what that is. It's like so innocence, and just be innocent like a little child. And he says it'll go fast, really, because as soon as we're like that little child that just doesn't know anything, it just kind of has that little curiosity. He said that's always pointing to your natural state. That little childlike curiosity, and just pure asking all the questions of them with just innocence. Just pure innocence. Like you don't know anything, which we really don't. But we can pretend like we do. So, Jesus, will you show me anywhere where I'm pretending to think I know something? He goes, and immediately, like the answer, I will. It's comforting. It's really comforting, because it can seem disoriented. Just take everything to the light test. Even if you feel disoriented, go, is the light disoriented? And you'll see really quickly the light's not disoriented. It's here. It's the desire for interpretive function as it's interpreting experience that's disorienting. But it's like we talked about Star Trek, and the enemy comes and it's wah, 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 wah. Well, it's God standing outside Star Trek trying to help them out, and they put shields up. And it's good also, he's reminding me to ask him and just say, Jesus, is all well? Oh, and you get a little love cuddle, and then you'll know it's well. You get a little, little heart, I'm with you till the end of time talk. And you just sit down and have put a little fireplace, get a little blanket, and just sit with them. And then you start talking everywhere, in the jacuzzi, washing dishes. What do I need to see? Taking a shower gives you the download. Just a few minutes of time. to be reminded of eternity. Lesson 23, I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. Let's just ask them, Jesus, do I really like attack thoughts? And do I like pretending like I didn't make them? And go, what? Ow. I mean, it's just so clear. Do I really love, just relish, might as well admit it, relish being a dartboard of consciousness, just feeling like a dart, ow. But see, at that point, we're noticing rather than suppressing the recognition of the desire. See, when it starts coming up and we're feeling all these things in the body, and that's why we need them to guide us, because they can also become, like Muji calls them, stones in the bush. He loves just, look over there, anywhere over than this deep look with him. What do I need to see? What do I need to see? Becomes the mantra, valuable mantra. What do I need to see? What do I need to see? What do I need to see? See, that's like that willingness. Okay, here's one too. I already heard the yes, but okay. Jesus, do I even need you to show me what attack thoughts are? Yeah, that's it. Because we know. Because see, we're determined not to see our attack thoughts. We're determined to pretend like, hold them on the side, Pretty much, yeah, everything, soup to nuts. Oh, here we go. First sentence. Oh, hear this one. Let's just drink this in. Oh, this is like a little Mai Tai on the beach with an umbrella. What here, right here. Let's just relax back and hear this one, okay? The idea for today contains the only way out of fear that will ever succeed. Okay. I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. Jesus, do I still want attack thoughts? And just admit it, Okay. Just put that on the table. Nothing else will work. Everything else is meaningless. He really breaks it down. He says you just have to really look at how much you want those things. Really, 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 super really, extra really, quadruple really relish. Because you think it has, he's reminding me, you think it has some kind of power. That this gives you power, these attack thoughts. He says it's insanity, yet you believe it. So that's how the ego will go. It'll go right on the surface and it'll go, well, that's impossible. I can't really want all that because it's painful. And that's the ego's way of saying, don't look deeply to see that you do really want it. How much you really want it under there. It does get funnier and funnier. We're starting to really laugh in these sessions. Really, it's so precious. You'll see how precious it is to laugh about this with your mighty companions as you get down there and you go, wait a minute. In the light, this can't be, but I still want it. I still want it. Oh, I want it, Jesus. That kind of admission. He says that's your way out. That admission, because you're starting to accept that you're divine, you see, and that it is a play and a choice to try to play in consciousness, to play a game against yourself. It was such a great metaphor with the chessboard. It was incredible in Revolver movie, moving all the pieces around. Like he's telling a story in there like about how you move the pieces and you on the board. He finds out on the end he was being moved around by spirit, thankfully. We really do think we're doing the awakening. Jesus says yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Mm. So the ego loves, oh, it's just a happy day to be involved in quote unquote spiritual awakening. And you'll see it, on the spiritual awakening forums or whatever they are, they're beings arguing over spiritual awakening. Who who's arguing? Or arguing over what the course means, arguing over which book is better. It's right in the middle of denial. That's like the dead zone. To argue, I know better is involved. I know better is sleepy. Sleepy time. It's a bedtime story. To argue over that stuff on a forum, it's insanity. It's in the middle of insanity to argue about what awakening is. Just be awake. That'll save a lot of time, Jesus says. Oh, but this way cannot fail. Okay, just ask him, Jesus, I can escape the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. And here is the answer. And I'm not at peace all the time because I still relish those things. Okay, will you show me all the places that I'm relishing attack thoughts? And he's giving me the talk about trust me that I will lead you. I will lead you every step of the way. Just remember that the one who's saying, why am I not awake yet, is the very one who's denying divinity. Why is this still happening? As soon as this why word arises, it's a death march. We have to see what's in the funeral march, because we think that's life over there, that funeral march of why and when. See that the light, it's always to the light test. Does the light ask why? It doesn't have a why in there. Does the light ask when? Is there a when in it? See, it's already here, so it's not looking for anything. It's not shopping to be enlightened. It doesn't have a shop list for enlightenment. That's the ego shop list. It's looking for some kind of bells and whistles thing going on. I see that does the light have bells and whistles? It just is. It's just peace. It's supreme happiness. So it's helpful just to do the light test. Is the light concerned about this? No, then I need not concern myself. He says, yes, that's exactly. Every thought you have makes up some segment of the world you see. That's pretty. He doesn't say a few of the thoughts. He said, you just see how all or none. It's either light or it's light. There's just no in between. Jesus's world doesn't have in between. Every thought you have makes up some segment of the world you see. Jesus, do we have to give up all thoughts? Yes, for peace of mind. They come by your desire for them. You're the fuel. You're fueling them. You fuel the dream. Do I fuel the dream, Jesus? You feel the dream through your desire for that experience of it. And then to affiliate yourself with the dream itself as who you are. Just see you're beyond the dream. It is with your thoughts then that we must work if your perception of the world is to be changed. If the cause of the world you see is attack thoughts, you must learn that It is these thoughts which you do not want. Okay. And to really see what attack thoughts are, because I can see in the play of consciousness, making some thoughts is okay. That's okay because that's a good thought and that's a bad thought. And Jesus is reminding me they're all the same. All thoughts are the same. And that's why he's reminding me also about the discrimination, to not to discriminate between good thoughts and bad thoughts when we apply the lesson. Good thoughts are still attack thoughts. That's just such a deep thing to look at with him. He's saying just apply everything really equally so you can see that it's all equal. It's all an equal bin of suffering. It's all just equal suffering in all corners of it. Every scrap of it is suffering. Every scrap, Jesus says, every scrap. There's no point in lamenting the world. Oh my gosh, this is so much of the play, lamenting. He says that's the game. So you make the world and then go, okay, you can lament. How did this, this did this again. Jesus, why is this happening in the world? What are you doing to me? That plays, I saw a lot of that play. Jesus, will you clear any of that? I'll give that over if there's any scrap of that. He says your purpose is in celebrating, just celebrating because you are. A continued celebration of what you are. And he says, know that you have the power for this, to do this. The ego's plan is to feel like it's going to be difficult for you to do. That's the whole gig. You got to take that thought to the light and see, put that thought in the light and see if the light thinks it's difficult to be a light. Do the light test. Is it difficult to be light? Can we find a way when we look at infinite? There's no point in trying to change the world. That's the entire ego's plan. It makes a world and then it wants to try to change it. And then it creates all kinds of little stories like it's making a world improvement plan. I can save the world. And the funny thing now, I look at it, I realize that, and I knew deep down that couldn't work. A better world, or you could tell, we can look at it. Has it ever happened? The purpose of history is to have repurposed by spirit, is to see that it's never worked. That it's a concept that the world can be improved through history. I mean, I don't know how many bodies have seemingly fallen in the play of consciousness, this play of bodies coming and going to the cemeteries. And the concept that the world can be improved through something. You know, we're going to have more technology. There'll be a better world. And then we have to have, in the whole concept in the world, we have to have war to have peace. When has that worked? You know, can we find a way? It's the first monkey beaten on a stick on a rock, you know, and goes next door to beat his brother up with it. Where has the improvement in the world ever happened, really? If we honestly look at it. It's Jesus saying it's just not your function to improve. It's unimprovable. It's your function to change your mind. To drop any idea that changing the world and making world and see the cycle. And that was really Helpful in Revolver, just to see, oh, the montages were just outstanding in that movie. Where they were playing the different characters and all the characters that were fighting each other, and they were showing how they were all saying the same thing. They're coming to get me. It was great because it was showing so many thoughts, right? And the duking it out that occurs in the mind, in the play of consciousness, about he's coming to get me and I got to fight him, and the belief and attack, and with the belief that the attack between the characters was actually going to bring peace in some way, through the belief that there's salvation in it. The power of changing the world or controlling the world or having more money or more drugs or more control, quote unquote, over others is salvation. And even though you could look at that movie and say it's really extreme, it's just a perfect demonstration, because if there's one twitch watching that movie, if it's given by Jesus and there's one twitch, then that's showing directly what's happening in the mind. That the mind still has beliefs that anything in that movie is real. But when you start really looking at these movies and, hearing Jesus give you the download and explaining everything, which he says, yes, he'll do for everyone. There's no limit on a nonstop talk with Jesus in these movies. And then we're hearing it as we watch it, and after the movies, we gather and Jesus speaks through us, and you learn more. It's washing out. You're hearing his voice. You're learning to speak his voice through you because it's your natural voice. See, we're not teaching anyone. There's no one out there to teach. It's just every time when he speaks, we're learning what he's teaching us through us. For us, there's no one else out there that it's for. And it washes out the idea that there's someone to impress or a person to please, or it just washes that away. His instructions are to listen and speak his voice and follow those things. Keep it really simple. Because then you don't have to figure out, well, am I doing this? Am I people pleasing? No, or ask him. Follow my voice. He says, follow my voice. Speak my voice. Ask me which miracles. That'll wash all that out. There's no point in trying to change the world. It is incapable that it's incapable of change, because it is merely an effect of thoughts. A little thought comes out, blows out a world. But there is indeed a point in changing your thoughts about the world. A valuable point. Here you are changing the cause. The effect will change automatically. So the cause is really the thoughts, the desire for thoughts, desire for experience, that objective experience, to miscreate a world that kind of comes back and smacks you like a dartboard. The world you see is a vengeful world, and everything in it is a symbol of vengeance. Yeah, he was talking to me about that yesterday too. How it's all vengeance. Jesus says, everything I see a form of vengeance. He just reminds us it's all vengeance. And am I relishing all of it? And here are the yes. Can I have a miracle on vengeance? So we keep the vengeance going and the attack going. Each of your perceptions of external reality is a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts. Jesus, will you show me in my heart how each of my perceptions of what's outside is a representation of my own attack thoughts? He said, that's what I'm here for. That's what the ego doesn't want to admit, that everything out in the world is a result of thoughts. Jesus, am I willing to admit that? Do I need a miracle to admit that? The pre-miracle to the miracle? Do I need a miracle to even ask for a miracle? That everything is a pictorial representation of my own attack thoughts? One can well ask if this can be called seeing. Is not fantasy a better word for such a process, and hallucination a more appropriate term for the result? So let's just ask him, Jesus, is all of this a hallucination? Am I hallucinating? And I'm pretending like I don't even know when I'm hallucinating. And that therefore I need your help to show me where I'm hallucinating. This is a hallucination recovery program. Yes, I'm not in enlightenment. I'm in hallucination recovery. You know, it's so much, see how much closer to the truth that is? I'm spiritual awakening. No, I'm hallucination recovery. What do you do at the center, hallucination recovery? Yeah, please remind me. I love that story of St. Francis. It has to do with hallucinations. He said yes. So you can really see where you're hallucinating. So St. Francis had, I want to find this story on the internet. It'd be really good to read it again. But so he had three, like, I don't know what he would call them, I guess little novice monks, whatever they call those, that came to the monastery, and he sent them out into the garden, and he had them bury cabbages upside down. Of course, two of them just went ballistic over that. Just completely, what are we doing? How come we're buried in cabbages upside down? And the third one's just, he went out there, there's St. Francis sees him, he's just burying those cabbages upside down. And the others were asking, well, you know, we don't understand it. Why are we doing it? He just, to see who's willing to follow. Because that's all we do at the center is bury cabbages upside down. It's practical. Sometimes it's really seems like burying cabbages upside down. But it's really the test of willingness. If Jesus tells you to go out there, and sometimes it's gonna make no logical sense to the ego. It's not supposed to, because nothing makes any logical sense. So we have to learn how to bury cabbages upside down without a twitch. Because we can see that that even burying cabbages right side up, it's always, what is it for? To see how attached we are to the hallucination is what it is. That's all it is to see that we love and relish the hallucination, that things have to be a certain way. You know, it's like Muji walking along in a desert going, oh, just start digging there, you know? And they're going, there's just no way you're going to find water here. He says, keep digging. I love it. So great. And they dug and they went really down deep. And he said, you haven't gone deep enough. You know, that's when you have to trust your master, just as a symbol in your mind of breaking through the barriers of how you think divine expression is going to look. And it's so unknown, divine expression. I'm like I say, I asked Jesus, that's divine expression. Yes. Whenever it's given, whenever we're in guidance, it can be ordinary. You can sing or have a piece of cake. It's not, you know, like the ego has some kind of special idea of what it is. It's just when you're just in alignment with your own heart. We're just so discombobulated from our own heart, and we're so involved in the hallucination. And more with Jesus, you see, like you don't have really a clue about what happiness is because you're so pinging off of it's ping off of everything in consciousness. Ow, ow, you're so dartboarding all the time. and so then the play is you get dartboarded and you think, I'm going to feel a lot better when I go, whatever it is. If I get a better meal, it just diverts. It never really looks at the dartboard to go, what is generating this dartboard feeling? It just consciousness buries that and goes, I'm just going to go out to a movie. See, so with the direct looking, we can't continue to hide from ourselves, to hide from just wanting this hallucination to be real. So yeah, it's just a hallucination recovery program. Cease to deny supreme happiness program. Cease to deniement. You see the world that you have made, but you do not see yourself as the image maker. So, okay, Jesus, give it to us. Am I the image maker? Yeah, it's just so great. Like Mr. Robot, I'm doing a review. That'll be out really soon. We're really getting close. And what a spectacular movie. But it's got so many times that he has someone come up. And then yesterday in Revolver, wake up. God would go, wake up. Would tell him over and over. And the number of times that Jesus is going to say to us, wake up. And we're going to ignore it. And the spirit telling him several times, Mr. Robot, you're the one doing it. You're the mastermind. And he's running off to chase after a dream. He goes running off to chase after a dream rather than sit there and go, oh, am I really? Is this the gig? And really looking. Okay, so I'm just going to look and see if there's any denial of being the image maker left. Is there any denial of that? Just look at it head on. Why not? He says your happiness depends on admitting that. That you're the image maker. You cannot be saved from the world, but you can't escape from its cause. This is good to look at. Let's look at that deeply. You cannot be saved from the world, but you can escape from its cause. It says yes. It's funny. We looking in the world for salvation from the world. Looking in form to try to be saved. I'll be saved if, and to see the number of ways in which consciousness plays to try to be saved from the world, saved from the world, better locks on your door, saved from the world insurance, saved from the world health insurance, saved from, risk. So the ego creates the risks and then all the little scenarios of how to be saved from the risks. Just to admit that it's not the image maker. And just see, does the light make any images? He says, just see these images aren't you. You think the image is you. You can ask him, Jesus, is the image me? Is this image is me? And do I think they're me? Do I think all the images of the world are me? This is what salvation means. For where is the world you see when its cause is gone? When the image maker just falls away. Is that it? Jesus, just the image maker idea falls away. It's really helpful to remind who's going to line up first to start to complain as the images fall away. Who likes to jump to the front of the line? Just notice the light is not complaining about the images falling away. It's not complaining about anything. It's helpful. It's so helpful to remember to do the light test on everything. Does the light see this? Light concern? No. Jesus, do I need to do anything? No. Is there anything I need to see? And a lot of times they'll just tell you, rest, go lie down. It can be really what you need. You know, if you're in that play of the hard driving, you know, I got to make a world, I got to duke it out and be the one who's strong and all the time. And got to constantly be moving. A lot of times moving for some beings, that's the way they avoid looking. Because there's a belief in cause and effect that if they're active in some way, that's salvation. The body moving is salvation. Being physically fit, salvation. Vision already holds a replacement for everything you think you see now. Loveliness can light your images and so transform them that you will love them, even though they are made of hate. Okay, Jesus, let's go on this one. Let's read that one again. Loveliness can light your images. Okay, Jesus, will you show me how loveliness lights? Yes, with so much love, so that they shine as a reminder of who you are. Who we are is infinite. Like, so every image, rather than to be split out as, you know, or as a proof, the ego is going to use every image to prove that it's separate. It becomes a reflection of everything given by the Father. So no matter where you look, God is in everything I see. You just like love bombardment. It's like a reminder of all the love the Father has for you. And so transform them that you'll love them, even though they're made of hate, for you will not be making them alone. The idea for today introduces the thought that you are not trapped in the world you see. Oh, that desire for trap. We were talking about that yesterday. The desire for experience of feeling trapped in the world. He thought he was feeling trapped in an elevator. That's just a desired experience to feel that we can be trapped. Just check with the light, do the light test. Is the light trapped? Where's the trapping of the light? Is the light limited? Ego gets all upset because you're not feeling anymore like you're stuffed in a shoebox. And it goes, it's just expanding, it's expanding. No, it's falling away, it's falling away. The shoebox is melting. Jesus says, celebrate. See, everything it's going to interpret because it's the shark. And the shark likes to looking for a way to bite you. As Jesus says, quit feeding the rabid dog in your backyard. And it just kind of, that won't come around anymore. And see who's feeding it. That's like Muji says, just see who's feeding. Who's feeding the ego? Jesus, who's feeding the ego? And he's not going to tell you anything else but you. You are through your desire for it. The idea for today introduces the thought that you're not trapped in the world you see because its cause can be changed. This change requires first that the cause be identified and then let go so it can be replaced. Okay, let's look at this carefully. This change requires first that the cause be identified, then let go so it can be replaced. That's why he's having you do the search your mind thing with him. Change require that the cause be identified, and then he shows you. See, that's why it's helpful when he's taking you down. What do I need to see? Because the ego, it just loves, like I talked about before. It's like that these thoughts rise up like water coming on the shore, and then they slip down into the sand, you know. And it's like, what happened to them? Well, he's teaching us, no, hold the thought when it comes on the beach so you can really look at it directly. So it doesn't sneak back down into subconscious mind, pop up again. So you got to ask Jesus, can you help me not let those little sneaky things sneak back into subconscious mind so they can rises up and look directly at it indiscriminately. It's not picking out different waves on the shore. When the thoughts come up, notice so that way we can start noticing where we're giving our energy to something, to death, and just look directly. Then it dissipates. The cause be identified, then let go so it can be replaced. The first two steps in this process require your cooperation. The final one does not. So this is good. Let's make sure we really understand this. The first two steps in this process, the change requires first that the cause be identified, then let go. The letting go is the miracle. So really noticing the cause, seeing what the real cause is with him as he's pointing it out. Let him, and then he'll reveal the cause. See, the more we open up the subconscious mind, the faster he can just point out those causes. Boom, 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 like this. We can ask for a miracle, let go, let go, let go, so that it can be replaced. The first two require, that's the willingness, the cooperation. One, to let that the cause be identified. That's what he's really helping us with, to identify the cause. And then the miracle, the willingness to let it go, to see it another way. And then it's replaced. In reality, it's just seeing what's been here all along. The first two steps require our cooperation. The final one does not, because we're just seeing what's already here. No cooperation needed. See, the light doesn't cooperate with anything. It's just here. So when we look at it with him and then it's cleared, then it just the only thing left is light. Your images have already been replaced. By taking the first two steps, you will see that this is so. And then you just see that the light's here as beings are saying, I'm going down on chapter 20. And then all of a sudden there's only light down there. And then just keep clearing until the plane consciousness, letting the causes come up. With the willingness, just I want to see it, I want to see it, I'm willing to see it, I'm willing to see it. You probably say that 100 billion times. I certainly don't. Besides using it throughout the day as needed arises, 5 practice periods are required in applying today's idea. As you look about you, repeat the idea slowly to yourself first, and then close your eyes and devote about a minute to searching your mind for as many attack thoughts as occur to you. As each one crosses your mind, say, I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts about blank, whatever it is. Hold each attack thought in mind as you say this, and then dismiss that thought and go on to the next. That feels good. Maybe we'll spend a minute on that. Okay, I can escape from the world to search our minds. I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts about. In the practice periods, be sure to include both your thoughts of attacking, of being attacked. This is helpful to see that they're the same. Their effects are exactly the same because they're exactly the same. You do not recognize them as yet. This is yet, and you are asked at this time only to treat them as the same in today's practice periods. We are still on the stage of at the stage of identifying the cause of the world you see. Jesus, are attack thoughts the cause of the world I see? Is the world made in hatred and rage? Yes. When you finally learn that thoughts of attack and of being attacked are not different, you will be ready to let the cause go. Jesus, am I ready to learn that thoughts of attack and of being attacked are the same? He says, a dartboard is a dartboard is a dartboard. When you feel like a dartboard, you'll see, when you see that they're the same. I can escape the world from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. Thank you, Jesus, for helping to reveal all those attack thoughts and for bringing me all the brothers, the loving brothers, to look together at this every day, to celebrate all the gifts you've given to me by the Father. And so we'd like to ask if Lori would help continue the song of our hearts from the session through some music. Yeah. Did you see? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'm gonna let her sit down. Okay.
Hello, loveliness. This one's called Peace Flower. Shine on, holy peace flower. The vision becomes the sweetest power. Beam on, holy peace flower. Sing awake the poison castaways. Dance on, holy peace flower. Share the vision of holiness. Love white swirls, bells of peace. Petals of bliss, translucent harmonies kiss the cheek of shadows, clouds, and tall trees. Shine on, holy peace flower. The vision becomes the sweetest power. Beam on, holy peace flower. Sing awake the poison castaways. Dance on, holy peace flower. Share the vision of holiness. Release my son, choose once again. Remember light, look with love and innocence. Hug the heart of horror, flicks and dead endings. gentle glow of peace that shines on everything. The Father gave to you and me. So look upon all. Look upon all with love for me. La 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 la. La 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 la.
We love you from San Juan Coastla. Gives the willingness.